Karen neighbor thinks she owns the whole building. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. I, a 31-year-old female, live in a block of 6 units, apartments for non-Australians. A month ago, the unit above mine went up for sale and sold fairly quickly, and the new owner moved in less than a week ago. This morning I got up and went to take rubbish out and found a note stuck to my door. I honestly thought it was a "I'm new to the building" kind of note, you know? Oh, could I not have been more wrong?
Dear tenant, I recently bought your building and wish to introduce myself. My name's blah blah.
Not going to use her actual name.
And I think you will find me a fair landlord. However, I do have rules. Number 1, everyone is to be in their units by 9 p.m. If you're going to be out past this, I suggest you find accommodation elsewhere. Number 2, no pets allowed. If you have any, then they must be relocated before I do an inspection, or I will call the ranger to remove them. This is the only warning. Number 3, I will conduct an inspection once a month, and you will be present to answer any questions or face eviction. Number 4, failure to pay rent on time will result in your eviction. If we all follow these rules, I'm sure we will get along. Sincerely, blah blah.
What the F did I just read? Fun fact about my building, we all own our own units. Nobody actually owns the whole building. I won't lie, I got to the number 2 and had a slight panic attack because I have cats, and there's no way I was giving them away before I remembered we bought our unit just before Christmas. We rented it from a friend prior, and when she told me she was thinking about selling it, we bought it. Didn't even have to move. So in some ways it still feels like renting, but we actually own our unit. Now, I'm not great at confronting someone. I tend to shake a lot, but at that moment I was quite angry, so I went upstairs and knocked on her door. You know that gut feeling you have? It was spot on. The door opened and there stood a Karen, her hair blonder than my own, her nails long and brightly colored. She didn't look happy to see me there. I introduced myself and explained that I live downstairs and I want to talk to her about her note. She started to talk over top of me, explaining that her letter was basic rules and even a child could understand it. And if I didn't like her rules, I could hand in a letter to vacate. Wow. I would ask if people are really this obnoxious, but I work in retail and could answer my own question. I told her that I actually own my unit, she hadn't bought it or the rest of the building, but only her own unit, and that she couldn't enforce anything in her note. She didn't like that at all. She started yelling at me, saying that yes, she had indeed bought the whole building and that failure to comply with her rules would mean I would be evicted. I was just starting to think maybe I was wrong when another neighbor opened his door. He came out and asked what the issue was about and could she stop screaming as he worked nights and was trying to sleep. I told him I was trying to explain that she hadn't bought the building and she started yelling again. My neighbor told her to stop and then said the best thing I had heard that day. "Are you stupid?" Her jaw dropped as he explained to her how wrong she was and that he was in fact part of the Strata committee, kind of like a HOA that oversees the building, and that she had no right to make rules for everyone. She gave us dirty looks before slamming the door. I thanked him and he said in the entire time he lived there he hadn't seen someone so entitled. Wow. Well, first thing that comes to mind for me is how did this woman think that she was buying a whole apartment building for the cost of one unit? Did she think she was getting the deal of the century or something here and could then run the building however she wanted? Or was she fully aware that she only owned her own unit and was simply trying to bully everyone else into behaving the way that she wanted? Even if she did buy the building herself, those rules are absolutely unacceptable. There's no way you can sit there and tell someone when they have to be home. You have no right to install a curfew on the people that live in the building that you own. This Karen is just absolutely delusional.
Before we jump into the next one, if you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably gonna love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description.
Karen neighbor seems to believe her ownership has now extended to the parking lot. So I guess this is an update to my last post. I had a lot of people ask me to post if she did anything else. This is also currently happening and my significant other is witnessing it and texting me as I'm at work. So if you missed my last post, I had a new neighbor move into my building and she left notes on everyone's door saying she had bought the building and gave us insane rules to follow. She does not own the building, but only a unit or apartment. Jury is still out if she's insane or stupid. She's been quiet for the last few days and I thought maybe that's it. Apparently I was wrong. So each unit in our building is allocated one parking space. Just one. I park in mine and my significant other parks his car on the street on the other side of the building. Our parking lot had one visitor space. It's a very small small parking lot, 6 spots for residents and 1 visitor. The visitor spot is nearly always empty, and my neighbors have said my significant other could park his car there if he wanted, as we are the only unit with 2 cars. But he doesn't mind parking where he is. So this morning, my significant other woke up to yelling. Our kitchen window overlooks the parking lot, and he snuck a peek out the window and saw entitled neighbor standing next to our nice neighbor's car, and they were arguing loudly. She kept yelling that she had a second car and needed to park in his spot, and he had to move his car or else she would have it towed. He kept repeating that it was his parking spot and she could either park it in the visitor spot or on the street, and if she towed his car, he would report it stolen. My significant other said she kept yelling she can park where she wants and he needed to move it or else. So my significant other decided to park his car in my empty spot in case she tried to park there while I'm at work. Last message he sent me, she has stormed upstairs in a huff and slammed her door. Update, I got home from work and she's parked her second car in the visitor spot, but she's parked it so badly it's blocking the driveway in. Right now I'm parked on the street but too tired to deal with her. Update 2. So like I said before, her car was basically blocking the driveway and I had to park on the street. Anyway, when I got up for work the next day, it was still there, but when I came home, it had gone. I asked my significant other as he was at home, and apparently a tow truck came and took it away. I'm still not sure which neighbor called the tow truck, but I have a suspicion it's the one she was arguing with. My significant other said she had been quiet all day, only the odd footsteps. Wow, so the saga of entitlement continues apparently. This time we've extended to the parking lot. I don't know what's going on with this lady that she just seems to think that she owns everything that she sets her eyes on. This isn't the Lion King. You paid for your unit, you have 1 parking spot, that is what you get. Stop trying to enforce your made up rules on other people. Where do you get off doing something like that? Keeping in mind, this lady's only been in this apartment for what, a week? And she's already making everyone else's lives absolutely miserable. Kudos to the other neighbor for getting her car towed though. Maybe she'll learn to be a little nicer now. Karen Neighbor's toxic attitude continues to spread, this time to the clothesline. Well, I'm back. As many of you predicted, her entitlement grew. In case anyone missed the update on my last post, her car was towed and I didn't know which neighbor did it. This made her more angry, but seeing as I was at work, she hasn't blamed me or my significant other. It's been raining all week, and as I don't have a dryer, I haven't been able to do any big items like sheets or towels. Only clothes as I can hang them up inside. On Saturday, it was finally sunny and I raced home from work, dragged my significant other out of bed so I could wash all the blankets and dry them in case it rained again. I managed to get through 5 loads of sheets, blankets, and towels, and I hung them all out on the line outside. We all share it, and there are technically 2 different lines for us to use, and we have never had an issue before. I hung out my last load and went inside to chill. I went back out about an hour later to get the first load off and found every single item I had hung on the ground. Nothing had replaced it. All of it had been torn down and my pegs and peg basket were gone. Most of what I'd hung out was still wet and now covered in dirt. I got my significant other and he helped me bring everything inside before I went upstairs and knocked on her door. When she answered, I asked if she had taken my washing off the line, and she smugly informed me that she had not given my permission to use her line and that next time I should be polite and ask and she might let me. Look, I'm gonna level with you guys. I work in retail and deal with nightmare customers. I know how to be calm around these kind of people. And I tried to be polite about this whole thing with the letter and the car, but my bed is my safe space and I want it clean. And she messed with that just to be petty. I calmly told her that everyone can use the line. It's part of the building and nobody has to ask her permission. She tried to talk over me, but I just held my hand up and told her I was part of the Strata committee. I know all the rules and who owns what, and she needs to pull her head out of her butt, grow up, and stop her behavior because it's not doing her any favors. I told her to have a nice day before she slammed her door. Oh my god, y'all, are you kidding me? What is going on with this lady? I cannot believe the poster's patience. I would have absolutely flipped a lid on this lady at this point. This is a level of pettiness beyond reason. There is actually something very deeply wrong with this woman that she needs to grasp desperately at any type of authority, even where she clearly has zero. There's been a couple situations where it's been brought up of a homeowners association equivalent in this building. Why is nothing being done about this woman? Seriously, it seems like she's gotten on enough people's nerves that they can just get rid of her. There's only a few units. I would never be able to live with a neighbor like this. Karen Neighbors strikes again. I'm back. Did you miss me? I won't lie, I was hoping I would never have to post again and she would become a normal neighbor. I was wrong. So she was quiet for so long and her car was barely there, I was starting to think maybe she had moved out. but I got a nice reminder last week that she's still around. To start this story, I must give a brief background. There are 8 units total in this building. I'm on the ground floor, and the very nice old lady across the hall and I have an unspoken rule that if one of us is home and the other isn't, we sign for and accept packages so they aren't just left in the hallway. I'd been expecting a package and I had a feeling it was going to show up while I was at work, but I wasn't worried because of my nice old neighbor. She would drop it off when I got home. No drama, right? Wrong. My nice old neighbor had actually gone away for a few days, so with nobody around, my package was left next to my front door. But it wasn't there when I got home. Oh yes. Yes, dear reader, she had it. About 10 minutes after I got home, I heard the familiar stomping on the stairs and the banging on my door. Long story short, my package had been delivered and she wanted to do the nice thing and hold on to it until I came home. But apparently it had accidentally ripped and she saw what was inside. I won't lie, it was intimate toys. I like to treat myself, sue me. The moment I opened the door, she threw my package at me, yelling how I was a disgusting pervert and I should move out before it spreads. I told her that opening someone else's mail is a crime. It's not a crime to buy those kinds of things, but thanks for taking care of my package. Edit, so this has ended up on another sub and I've been flooded with angry messages asking why I didn't file a police report for her opening up my mail. Because the police don't do anything in my area. My friend is being harassed by his drug-riddled neighbor. She's tried multiple times to break into his house and put her aggressive dog in his yard. He's taken videos, photos, called the police and the ranger many times about it, and they keep telling him there's nothing they can do because they didn't see her do anything. Yeah, big help there. I called them asking what happens if someone has tampered with my mail and was asked, "Did you see them do it?" And, "Are you sure it didn't come that way?" The law doesn't always work the way we think it does, and you can jump up and down and scream at me that it does, and that's fine, believe what you want. But I was put in a weird situation with an insane neighbor, and I assume this sub would like to hear about it, but if I'm going to keep getting attacked for it, then I'm done posting about it. Oh no, I thought it was over. We've already dealt with this woman twice, so we're not going to dive into how crazy she is. But let's talk about the fact that she's allowed to open her neighbor's mail and not have any repercussions for it because there's nothing that the police can apparently do about it because they didn't see it happen. I mean, that's what cameras are for, is to help record this behavior so it can be viewed at a later date by the people who need to view it to take action. But anyways, this lady opening up her neighbor's mail, probably to see if it was something that she wanted for herself, and then proceeding to berate the owner of the package for what they were buying. As I said before, it's just delusional, the sense of entitlement that this woman seems to have. And also, shame on you, internet, for coming at the original poster, giving them a hard time. Obviously, they don't want to have to be dealing with this situation. They definitely don't want to have to be dealing with you on top of this situation. Karen neighbor really wanted to pet my cat. Well, I'm back. I thought maybe my neighbor had settled down and I was done with her behavior. I do hear her fighting with the upstairs neighbor now and then, but that's about it. This happened this afternoon and I'm still trying to figure out how her brain works. So in my previous post, I explained how my new neighbor thinks she owns the building our apartment is in, newsflash she doesn't, and implemented some crazy rules, none of which were legal. It took a few arguments, but I thought she finally understood she didn't own everything. Boy was I wrong. So as I am on the ground floor, I have a glass sliding door that opens out into the shared yard. Not happy about this, but we mainly treat it like a window anyway. Being that it was a nice cool day, I had the door open but the screen door shut and locked so I could air the house out after having rained and the house smelling musty. Whenever that door is open, my cats will sit at it and watch all the birds outside. I was pretty tired and my significant other suggested we both lay down and have a nap while I was waiting for the washing machine to finish. I thought, sure, why not, it's quiet today, and we went and laid down. We were woken up about an hour later to a rattling noise in the lounge room, and I thought maybe one of the cats had tried to climb the screen door again. So I got up to scold them and found my entitled neighbor trying to open my screen door, like really pulling on it to the point the whole door was shaking. I asked her what she was doing and she told me she'd seen my cats through the door while on her way to hang clothes out and wanted to pet them, but the door was stuck. I told her it wasn't stuck, it was locked because this is a private residence and she can't just walk in here whenever she pleased. She kept trying to open the door while yelling that I can't keep my cats from people if they want to pet them and it's her right to show them real love. I repeated that this was my home and she couldn't walk in whenever she wanted. This seemed to really peeve her off and she started to yell at me that I was a little beast B-word and I was abusing my animals, and how dare I speak to her like that? At this point, I was pretty sick of being yelled at in my own home, so I just mustered up the sweetest smile I could before politely telling her to screw off. If looks could kill, my cats would be eating my body right now. She tried to open the door again when my significant other came out and said he would call the police if she didn't stop. She finally let go of the door, glared at us, and stormed off. Needless to say, we are ordering another camera for that door now, and yes, my cats are microchipped. What are you? She's breaking and entering now. I'm at a loss. This woman is seriously deranged. And considering her note in the original post about how she didn't want any pets in the building, I find it unlikely that she just wanted to pet her cat. I hope it's not just me, but my mind goes to dark places of what she was actually intending by trying to open that door. This has escalated beyond entitlement to a point where this woman might actually potentially be dangerous. I don't blame her for wanting to get another camera. Who knows what this woman is actually capable of if this is the way her mind works. It's been too quiet. So it's been quiet for a few weeks now. I normally hear her arguing with another neighbor all the time, but lately nothing. Last week I bought a new car, yay, and it's slightly bigger than my old car, so I'm not confident enough to park it in my spot, so I've been parking on the street. The other day I got home from work and I saw a young man standing on her balcony. He was quite friendly, called out hello to me and introduced himself as her nephew and explained why he was there. She broke her foot. Apparently at the last family dinner she tripped over a dog and broke her foot, and is now staying with family because she can't get up and down the stairs. He said he was house sitting because she said she didn't trust her neighbors, but he admitted we are all really nice and quiet and maybe she's just crazy. It took all my strength not to sing and dance right there. Personally, I think a little bit of celebration would have been allowed. Here we have a little bit of karmic justice at least coming through for our protagonist. If nothing else, you can always hope that at least the universe will give them what's coming to them. In this case, it did. Karen neighbor is back and wants me to isolate elsewhere. Well, she's back. Was hoping she just wouldn't come back after she broke her foot, but last week we heard a door slam from upstairs, we looked outside, and yep, her car is there. No idea if her nephew who is house sitting is still there or not. Anyway, a few days ago I tested positive for the much whispered pathogen and have been doing the right thing and staying inside and dying quietly. I'm fully vaccinated, so it's not that bad, though I could live without the headaches. My partner was away all Saturday because he was picking up his new car and he got home late Saturday afternoon, parking his new car on the back lawn so he could give it a quick hose down from the drive. I was inside watching through the sliding door when I heard her balcony door open and she started yelling at him to get off her lawn. He told her to shove it, it's not her lawn, and he's done when he's done. And can she please stop yelling because I've tested positive and it doesn't help the migraines? Well, that was a mistake. I heard her storming down the stairs and she starts banging on our door screaming that I'm diseased and I need to isolate somewhere else before she gets sick. And if I don't leave, she was going to call the police. I told her through the main door that she has been told repeatedly she can't kick us out of our own place that we own. I am staying inside and that she could call the police if she wanted, but she would more than likely be fined herself for wasting their time. According to my significant other who was coming in after moving his car, she looked downright murderous, but once she saw him, she took off back upstairs. Haven't heard anything from her since or anything from the police, so we think it was an empty threat. I was so tempted to open the door because, like they say, sharing is caring. Update, just wanted to add, because I've had a few comments on it, we can't get her evicted from her own home as she owns it just like we own ours. Also, lawyers in Australia are very expensive just to talk to. Like when we bought our unit, the lawyers handling the sale charged us for everything. They stuffed up the paperwork by misspelling my name and then charging us more to reissue the papers with the correct name. As far as I know, my neighbor upstairs spoke to his lawyer about her, but they can't do much anyway. Guys, this is a Karen journey of epic proportions. We are covering absolutely everything in this instance. We've got entitled Karens who think they own the place, conflicts over parking spots, attempted breaking and entering, the works. Now we've come to the point where the poster has a deadly disease and the Karen still is not letting up. I do have to say I understand the temptation to potentially want to open the door, but good on your restraint. It seems we've also addressed in this post something I said myself earlier, which is why don't they just get her kicked out? Apparently there's our answer. Is it a good one? No, but unfortunately, this is sometimes just the way the world works. I do really hope the protagonist of this epic Karen saga does find a happy ending here, though. Karen neighbor throws a party. I was really hoping my neighbor would settle down, but here we are. Though this story has a satisfying ending, I think. This just happened last night and I'm still a bit tired. Our neighbor had been quiet for a while and my significant other and I thought maybe she had finally realized she couldn't control the whole building. One of her cars was parked in her spot and the other was parked on the street behind my significant other's car. Nobody's washing had been ripped off the line. No new notes were stuck to doors. Until yesterday. As we are the bottom unit, like I've said, we have a side door that opens onto the shared yard. I think the only time I use that door is to air the place out or as a shortcut to hang washing out. Anyway, yesterday we were going about our day when we saw entitled neighbor and a few other people setting up tables and chairs in the yard. No big deal, it's a shared space. A few minutes later, there's a knock on the side door and it's her. My significant other opened the door, it's a sliding glass door so she could see us, we couldn't pretend we weren't there, and did the usual greetings. She told us she was having a party and we needed to move our wooden planters off our patio because she needed the space for her barbecue. No. Firstly, the patio is our space, not shared space, and secondly, they sit right next to the glass door, so I don't want some random looking into my living room all night while they're cooking. My significant other reminded her again she doesn't own the building and we wouldn't be moving anything when one of her friends asked what the heck she was doing. They had already set up the barbecue in the yard. She huffed and walked off without saying anything to us and we thought that was it. It was not. A few hours go by and we ended up closing the curtains for privacy. Whoever designed this building didn't really keep privacy in mind for a detail, but anyway, we can hear talking, laughing, and cooking, the usual sounds of a backyard party when there's another knock at the door. I was cooking dinner, so my significant other answered it again. This time, it was one of her friends saying she had to use the bathroom, and entitled neighbor just told her to knock on our door instead of walking upstairs. My significant other politely told her sorry, but she couldn't use ours and she apologized for knocking and intruding. Not even 2 minutes later, there's banging on the door and now my significant other is peeved. He opened the door and entitled neighbor started to lay into him about how dare he expect her guests to go all the way upstairs and that he needed to apologize to her and keep the door open for her guests. Now, my significant other is usually a calm guy, very easy to talk to and rational. But in that moment, he lost it. He told her to screw off and stop bothering us, to get her head out of her butt, and she can't lay claim to everything she sees. Our bathroom wasn't hers to use, her guests could use her bathroom, and if she knocked on our door again, he would call the police for harassment. At this point, one of her friends came over and told entitled neighbor she needed to leave us alone and stop bugging us, before apologizing and telling us to have a good night. We expected the party to be loud and go on all night, but it actually wrapped up pretty early, around 1 a.m. I think. This morning when I got up, everything had been cleaned up from the yard, but our planters had been knocked over. Joke's on her because we hadn't planted anything in them yet, and most of the soil in there was used cat litter. I use potting mix as cat litter because it's cheaper. So now she can smell my cat's old turds. Okay guys, we're wrapping up the Karen saga here. At this point, even her friends are having to apologize for her actions. She literally seems to be the only one who doesn't understand what she's doing is not right. I'd be very curious to meet her parents and understand a little bit about how she was raised to get this incredible sense of entitlement. But here we have another little bit of karmic justice coming through for us. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories linked at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot, linked in the description as well. Either way, thanks a lot for watching and we'll see you guys next time.